everyone, so welcome to today's video. We are doing something super exciting today. We are going to be using the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette for the first time on camera. I'm going to swatch a few of the shades. I'm not swatching every single shade because I'm pretty sure you've seen these colors. It's all over YouTube and the internet. I wanted to save this for a moment where I could turn the camera on and actually swatch for the first time, feel the textures, give you my first impressions, and what I'm thinking so far after using this, and my thoughts along the way. So I did this look that's kind of bronzy. I did one of the topper shades. I tried to incorporate as many of the mattes as I could in this look without it being too crazy or too difficult to recreate if you're following along with this palette or something similar that you have in your collection. I wanted to keep it easy, simple, still comfortable in my wheelhouse, what I like to wear, and then elevate that just a pinch a little bit with some of the topper shades, which is one of like the bigger selling points for me on this palette, these three kind of creamy topper shades that add a bit of sparkle and glow to the look and sort of takes a very basic look with these mattes and takes it up to the next level with a little bit of sparkle, but in a sophisticated way. So I hope that you will enjoy this. Now let's get started with today's look. Okay, so the palette has not been swatched. I have not used this at all. I have been waiting to turn the camera on and be able to do this with you. So this is the packaging on the outside. It is a metal component versus the previous Makeup by Mario palettes that are more of your traditional plastic. And this one feels more weighted, just a little bit more luxurious, and maybe that's part of the reason why the price point is what it is for this palette. So when you open the inside, there is a mirror. I still have the plastic on mine. I have not ripped that off, so it's brand spanking new. And then here is a look at the colors. So pretty. You have a nice range of mattes. Then you have the three sort of glossy, shimmery, sparkly toppers, and then you have two metallic shades. And I have his all matte palette, and I do enjoy the quality of those, how they're pigmented, they wear well, they blend well, and it's every single color that you can possibly need to create any sort of look. So I do think that having that in mind going into this, I'm kind of expecting these to be amazing. I have kind of refrained from watching anybody's video or looking at anything besides the photos and swatches when it was time for me to decide whether I wanted to purchase it during the Sephora holiday savings event that they just had. So that is when I purchased mine, and I was able to save the 20% off. And I am super excited. So I'm hoping that these sort of live up to my expectations of what I'm expecting. And from what I've seen, the Makeup by Mario Instagram page has posted some video on this palette that these mattes are a different formula and they are just like a next level, haven't been seen before in the market kind of formula. So I'm hoping that they will perform well. So I'm going to just kind of like put my fingers in some of these and kind of swatch them and show you what they look like, and then just kind of give you my thoughts just like initially going into this, because like I said, I have not used this palette or swatched it, so this is my first time and I'm gonna mess it up. So here we go. Okay, so right off the bat, I am swirling this one here, and it does feel a little bit on the drier side, but then this one here is more creamy. So let's go, and there's definitely some fallout. So these ones here, these first two are creamy. This one felt a little drier than these, and it's very crumbly. I don't know if the camera's gonna focus on that, but do you see how it's missing just a little bit on my finger because I swirled my finger in there and I picked up the product, but it just kind of fell off and it's actually on my carpet. So not super thrilled about that, but that's okay. You know, that's just the powdery kind of consistency, and then you can see how they sort of pick up on your finger. Let me show you that. Colors that I just swatched, and you can probably see little chunks of product just from the way I swirled my finger and picked up the actual eyeshadows, but you know, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. I mean, they do feel very pigmented, and as I'm blending some of these colors, you can see how they sort of blend out a little bit, so that's really nice. Start by swirling these first few, and these are going to be toppers, so they're not going to have a tremendous amount of payoff as like base color, because these are supposed to be used as toppers to your looks, whether you use the eyeshadows in here or a different palette. They're supposed to be kind of like sparkly toppers. So there's not a whole lot to see really on these except for the sparkle. Now I do want to swatch that bronzy shade. That one is very, very metallic and very pretty. Do you see that? So, so nice. And let's do this other one. Really, really nice. So you can see. And if you can tell that my hands are dry, it's that time of the year when my hands get so dry and crusty. But those are the majority of them. And there's like 3 colors that I didn't swatch. But we will get into the tutorial just to kind of see how these actually perform. I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm going to scoot in just a little bit more so that I can get a little bit closer to the camera. I've got a couple brushes in hand, and I'm going to start by taking the light shade, which is this one here. That one I'm going to use all over my lids just to kind of prep my lids for any color. And that one is like a beige with a subtle kind of peach undertone. And I did already prep my lids with a eyeshadow primer. I used the Milk Hydro Grip eyeshadow primer. And then a little bit of setting powder over the top so it's not as tacky. I'm just going to pat this all over my lid. This is just going to be like a quick lay down of color, and I will show you really quickly here. After putting in my brush, my camera will focus, you will see that there is some kick up in the pan. So just kind of be warned about that. If that bothers you, just know that when you put your brush in there, it does kick up, just because they are honestly a bit on the drier side than some other brands that are a little bit more creamy and more emollient for their mattes. It's not necessarily a bad thing until we get to these darker shades. I don't know if it's going to cause fallout on my under eye because I've already done my foundation and concealer. That could have been a mistake, but we're just going to hope for the best and maybe the fallout won't be as bad. So now I'm going to switch to a fluffier crease brush so that I can start defining my actual crease. I just picked up the ColourPop E22 brush. It's part of, I think, the Stone Cold, Stone Fog, something collection like that has these little light colored handles. And I think I'm going to go in with the kind of pinky, mauve rose shade right here. And I'm going to use that to add a little bit of color to my crease. And I'm going to start working that back and forth. Now I got this palette because these colors definitely are my sort of taste. That's my son, he's on my bed. If you hear any sounds, that's what you're hearing. My 2-month-old is watching me. Okay, so I picked this palette up, as I was saying before, because these colors are definitely me. These are colors that I can see myself using every day, so that's why I bought it. It is a very everyday color scheme. So that color is going on pretty light. I guess I could build this up a little bit too. Let's start with this one here. I'm going to put this on pretty much the majority of my lid. And for that I'm going to use the MAC 239 brush. It's a packing brush. I think that's probably the best option for this formula. We'll see, because I have another option for brush that I think might work too if this is not going to work. So I'm going to start by applying this. Ooh, yes, that's pretty. From inner corner, pretty much all the way. I'm going to leave this area here a little bare just because I think I'm going to do maybe the darker metallic. And that went on pretty nicely. It's very sparkly and pretty. Honestly, I don't feel like I even need a topper over this color. It's really, really nice. And it's kind of like a grayish, almost like a pewter type of shade, and the other one is more bronze. Okay, so I'm going to take that same brush and I'm just going to flip it. See, I use one side and flip it to the other side, and I'm going to pick up that deeper shade just to add some more depth into the outer corner, but also kind of see what this color is like too. I'm going to tap off the excess, and I'm going to tap gently in case there's any fallout. Just like that. I'm going to do the same thing on the other eye. I'm also going to blend this too. Don't worry. You gotta trust the process. Okay, so now we have to blend these edges and kind of tap where these two colors meet so it doesn't look so obvious, and it just goes from one blended into the other. So I just kind of like tap it, going back and forth, flipping my brush over, and it just kind of blends itself for you. So I need to get a crease brush to clean around the edges. And I think for this, I'm going to use my Morphe M506. It's a very small, very precise crease brush, and I feel like it's perfect for getting right in there, like this, to soften this edge out. And what I'm going to do is take that same brush and go back into that rose shade, bit of mauve color that I used initially, and I'm going to add a little bit more around the edge of all of this. Then I'm going to take a Morphe M433, I cleaned all my brushes yesterday, so they're ready to go for today. And I'm going to just kind of, with nothing on there, I'm going to just go around the edges of that kind of rosy tone to kind of buff the line. So it's not as obvious. And then I'm going to pick up some of that original shade that I used to prime my whole lid space and go around the edges up to the brow bone. I'm going to switch to a pencil brush. This is the MAC 219, and I'm going to take that same rosy shade and I'm going to use this on my lower lash line. And then I'm going to take that same brush and I'm going to go in with this really dark matte brown. It has the By Mario stamp logo right in the center, so that's the one I'm going to use again to define this outer edge of my eye. Going thicker here and then thinner as I work my way in towards the inner corner. That same little crease brush that I used for blending the edges on the upper crease area, I'm going to take that and just soften right underneath this dark brown. And I think I'm going to incorporate a little bit more color, so we might as well use this brown because we haven't used that one yet. And I'm going to take that same brush and go underneath. Kind of blend. And it's going to add a little bit more warmth. Hopefully you can see that. A little bit more warmth. And it's going to smoke out that edge, and it's also going to thicken this lower lash line. Now, if you don't want to do this step, you don't have to, or you can use a more like precise, like smaller brush and really get it really close to the root of your lash if you don't like lower lash line color to be so dark. So let's go with this crease brush in this dark brown color. Take a pinch of that because that one is very pigmented. And I'm going to just stamp it right here on this outer part and then just lightly pull that into my crease area, just a little bit. Just following the natural shape of my eye. These toppers are probably made to be used with your finger, but I'm going to try using a brush and see what happens. I have a Sonia Kashuk number 106 brush. It's a very small, very densely packed eyeshadow brush that is very precise. So I'm going to take the center color here because this one I feel like matches with this color that's on my lid, these two here, right? I think that's pretty much a good match. So I'm going to pick up some, and there is a bit of kick up, but you will see like marks where your brush went in. If you use a brush, you'll see the marks in the pan. So it's a very soft, very emollient texture, and I'm going to just press starting in the center of my lid. I don't know if it really did anything. So I feel like it definitely did add some sparkle. And it made that a little bit more intense, honestly. Even with the brush, it's like a very light, almost like a veil kind of finish where it gives you that gleam and that glow and that kind of glossy look, but it's not super thick, it's not chunky, it's not like big particles. It's all very smooth and it's like a sparkle, but very sophisticated looking. So I do appreciate that. I don't like big chunks of shimmer or glitter. It's just not my thing. Every now and again, sure, but for something like every day, could I see myself using this? Yeah, I could do that every day. because it's not over the top. It's beautiful, and it's gonna catch the eye, you know, your attention, especially when the light hits it, in a beautiful way where it's very, like I said, sophisticated, and it's like taking your everyday basics, which are these mattes that are just perfect for every day, and taking it up a notch and sort of elevating that look and taking it and making it a little bit more of a sophisticated glow to the eye. So I do like the way that looks. It's very, very sparkly. I think if my daughter was in this room, she'd be wanting to put some of these on her eyes because she loves eyeshadow. So I think all I have to do now is a little bit of eyeliner. And I think I'm going to use my Makeup by Mario black eyeliner pencil. So here's what his pencil looks like. I've talked about this. I bought this one specifically over the summertime, and I got the black shade, but what makes it different is not only the formula is really great, stays in the waterline, it's easy to work with and blend, but you have a brush, so you can smudge your line, which is genius. Not a lot of eyeliners come with a brush. So I'm going to do just a very thin line because I don't want anything too thick to take away from the shadows and that shimmer and that sparkle, and then I'm going to put some mascara on, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so here is a close-up of the eyes. I went ahead and added mascara. I've been doing the no mascara on my lower lashes this whole past week, and I don't know how I feel about it. I'm going to keep trying it out. So I didn't do any on my lower lashes, but I did the Lancome Lash Idole mascara. I'm trying to finish that up. It's not my favorite. It doesn't give me the look that I like. So I'm just trying to use that mascara. So that's what I have on my lashes. And then just the Makeup by Mario black pencil liner. So just kind of like quick overview of my thoughts. I do think this palette is pretty. I like the top coats. I have been enjoying that sparkly kind of glimmer. I have the Charlotte Tilbury Hypnotizing Pop Shots. I ordered 2 of those I think about a month ago when it first came out. I ordered some, and it adds a little bit of a kind of sparkle, a glow to the lids. It's just so beautiful. It's very sophisticated. It's not very chunky and glittery, and these kind of remind me of that look. I like the fact that I can layer these with other colors or whatever brand I choose to wear for the day. I like the metallics. I think that this one, as I mentioned before, this metallic that I have on the inner corner all the way through the majority of my lid is probably one of my favorites, and I do like that bronze. I do think that those two really have a very intense impact with the payoff and how easy they applied and blended. The mattes, they blended well and fine so far. There's only, I think, 2 shades in this palette that I didn't use in the tutorial. I try to use as many of the mattes as I could. They do have pigment, but they are a little bit drier. There's powder kick up from one pan in the other, and it's just a big mess. I have it all over my mirror as well. When I was swatching it and I lifted my finger to show the camera, some of the pieces of the eyeshadow just kind of fell off my finger. So that kind of tells me that the formula is more on the drier side. Could it be because it's brand new and I'm just sort of breaking through that top layer? Possibly. But I honestly think that it's mostly like the feel of it is smooth, but it's a little drier. It's not a bad thing. I would say you would have to try it for yourself to determine whether or not you enjoy this formula, because it is a little different. If I think of like Natasha Denona mattes, or like my Nars Summer Unrated palette that's more warm tones, but it has some really good mattes, they don't have a lot of powdery kick up like this does, and they have a little bit more of a creamier feel. Not that they're a cream shadow, but there's a little bit more emollients to those other ones, and I just feel like these are just a little bit dry. Again, not a bad thing, just kind of pointing that out. I would have to continue using this in order to really sort of formulate my opinion as to whether or not I think it was worth the investment, because it's pretty pricey. This is pretty much the cost of a Natasha Denona palette. I think this was $68, Natasha's $69, and you get 15 eyeshadows in Natasha, so you get a little less in this one. So I don't know. I do like the sparkly colors. I will have to play with those. I do have some sparkly fallout on my under eye area, but I think that's just because I use a brush. I think if I used my finger, I could have avoided that. As far as some of the mattes, I don't see any fallout on my eyes that is linked to the mattes that I used. There are labeled on the back like EE1 to all the way through 12, and it's the Ethereal Eye. So it's all listed here. They don't have any like color names, and it tells you like the website where you can get tips and techniques printed on the back. So that's neat that they included that. So yeah, so far so good. I feel like my I was kind of like anticipating like some amazing greatness coming out of this, and I don't know if I necessarily got that like as a first impression. I don't know. Again, I'm going to keep playing with it, but for the rest of my face, I mixed my Nars Light Reflecting Foundation with my Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation. I will have those listed with my color down below, the shade that I wear. And then for my blush, let me show you. I'm actually using the Makeup by Mario blush stick in the shade called Pale Petal. These are the Soft Pop blush sticks. Love these. Comes with a brush on one end, which I don't use. I think it's a little too dense for my preference, but the formula is really, really pretty and easy to work with. Beautiful shade. This petal color just gives a pretty like natural flush, even though that looks really bright and intense. It doesn't look like that on the cheeks. And that's that glow and creaminess that you're seeing on my cheeks. I don't actually have highlight on. I know, who am I? Who am I? And then to finish the look off for lips, I'm using the Lancome lip liner in Natural Mauve. It's one of my favorites. It's the best lip liner. It's my lips but better. Then I paired it with the Laura Gellar Berry Vanilla lipstick. These are the Italian marble lipsticks. So it's really cool because it has like a swirl of different colors, and it just looks like a pretty soft, natural, everyday kind of pink shade, and that is Berry Vanilla. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this look. Everything that I use from start to finish will be listed down below. Primer, foundation, concealers, all the shades that I use in those products. I always have everything listed in the description box, so expand that down below. Let me know what you thought about the look. If you have this palette, what are your thoughts? Have you been enjoying it? If you have this palette on your list for Christmas, let me know if you are anticipating getting this for the holidays, and what about it sort of grabbed your attention about this palette. And I just kind of want to chat with you guys in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos in the future. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'll be posting there from time to time. It's always somewhere on the screen. It'll pop up my username for Instagram. Hopefully we can connect there. I will catch you in my next video. Hopefully take care, and I will see you very soon.